You know, Mordred's family situation is really weird. Or well, her parents' situation, to be exact. We all know how things went down between Mordred and Artoria. And honestly, if you take a step back, there's nothing even remotely normal about their blood relationship. I mean, come on, where do we even start with this? First off, Mordred and Artoria are related by blood, but not in any normal way. Don't be shocked if you didn't know the lore, but basically, this wizard deliberately gave Artoria a literal man's genital so that she could have an heir with Guinevere. But that didn't go as planned, and then Morgan secretly took some of Artoria's, juice. And there you go. Mordred was born. A literal clone child created from Artoria's sperm. Yeah, not exactly something you'd call normal. Later on, when Mordred found out about her connection to Artoria, she tried to confront her, only to be completely ignored. That's what eventually sparked the whole Camlan disaster. Now, you might think Mordred's rage toward Artoria was kind of an overreaction. I mean, there were other knights in Camelot who treated Mordred decently, right? But here's the thing. There are hints in the story that even Morgan, the woman who raised her and technically brought her to life, didn't treat her well either. Some of Mordred's own lines imply that Morgan was cold or even cruel to her. So yeah, there's more going on than just the "I want to be acknowledged" thing. Now that's Mordred and Artoria. But what about Arthur? Does he treat her the same way? Surprisingly, no, not at all. Arthur, the male version, is actually an alternate timeline version of Mordred's father, and he treats her very differently. In fact, he spends time with her and actually calls her cute in one of his room dialogues. They've even hung out a few times in Chaldea. We all know how open and direct Mordred is, but there's one moment that really stands out to me. There was a time when she invited Arthur to eat cake with her and Frankenstein. By the way, this implies that Mordred and Fran are very close friends. Not only do they easily go places together, but Mordred also understands what Fran is saying just from her grumbles and sounds. So after being asked by Mordred, Arthur declined Mordred's invitation to eat cake together, but Mordred clearly thought about it a lot afterward. She noticed his gloomy expression and started worrying about her male father. Anyway, that scene leads to Mordred helping Arthur with his problem. It turns out he's been distancing himself from everyone because he comes from a different timeline. Mordred helps him open up again, mostly by, fighting him. Afterward, she compliments him for being tough and helps him get along better with other servants. It's honestly adorable and kind of heartwarming. See what I mean, right? Mordred's parental situation is always weird no matter what story she's in, and she's got like the most dads out of anyone in Chaldea, since Artoria exists in a bunch of different classes. Even in Apocrypha, when she's summoned with Shishigo, he ends up becoming a sort of parental figure to her too. If I remember correctly, his motivation for joining the war was to bring his daughter back or something, while Mordred joined so she could pull the sword and basically to be acknowledged by her father. And you know what's funny though? Even Fuji can technically count as one of her parents, depending on your player's gender. This is because Morgan, who is Mordred's mother, calls you her husband or wife when she's summoned in Chaldea. So when she realizes this, for a split second, Mordred sees you as her parent too. Though she immediately gets mad and denies it, of course. Yeah, none of this is normal. It's weird as hell. But that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. When we talk about character family trees in history, things can already get pretty complicated. And the Fate series loves to dive into these historical figures. But once they enter the Fate universe, well, you know how it goes. The weirdness doesn't just stay the same. It multiplies 2 or 3 times over. And Mordred's family situation is just the beginning. There are plenty of other characters with tangled, confusing, and downright insane family relationships that'll make you stop and tilt your head in disbelief. I know this topic might sound a bit sensitive, so if anyone feels uncomfortable, I apologize. That's not my intention at all. I just want to make you amazed, and maybe a little shocked, by how wild the Fate writers' ideas can get. Now, when we talk about someone with the most dads in Chaldea, well, let's take a look at this one family situation. None other than Mash Kirlight, I swear, everyone just wants to adopt MASH. And honestly, I don't blame them. She's basically the blueprint for what a good kid should be. For those who don't know, MASH is what you'd call a designer baby. She doesn't have real parents who gave birth to her. She was created in a synthetic tube by scientists. I'm not sure whose DNA they used as her base, but that's not really the point. From the moment she was born, she was raised in a facility designed to make her brain think with perfect logic. That means she couldn't really disobey orders. Her mind was sharp, and she acted, well, almost inhuman. You could say she looked both empty and pure at the same time. After several experiments involving servants, Dr. Roman was asked to take care of her physical and mental condition, and the director actually agreed. From that point on, Dr. Roman basically became MASH's father figure. He taught her the meaning of simple words, showed her movies, read books with her, gave her candy and pastries, planted flowers, and even introduced her to Magimari. Through those small things, MASH slowly began to grow emotionally. Well, of course, her mental growth also sped up after meeting Fujimaru and all the historical figures who influenced her. But it was Roman who taught her the basic things, the human things, that helped her understand how to live and interact with others. Now, because of their personalities, Roman being so laid back and MASH being so polite, they ended up with a really unique dynamic. Also, I just realized something. Isn't MASH technically older than Roman? Okay, this is kind of spoiler territory, so feel free to skip ahead a bit, but hear me out. Roman, as a human, was only born after the Fuyuki Holy Grail War, right? And MASH was created back in 2000, so technically, at the start of the story, MASH would be around 16, while Roman's human age would be about 11 or so. Or was my math just not mathing? Or maybe I just completely misunderstood the story. I mean, if that's true, then that actually explains a lot. Like why MASH, who's normally super polite and composed, can drop these unexpectedly snarky comments when she talks to him. And Roman, being the easygoing guy he is, never takes it personally. It's probably why their relationship often feels more like siblings than father and daughter. MASH even knows Roman's dark secrets, the kind of stuff men would rather take to their grave. For example, she found out Roman has a special hidden folder full of, you know, those files. At one point, MASH actually threatened to delete it if he didn't get back to work. And Roman's no angel either. He once ate MASH's snack that she had saved to eat with Fuji after a mission. And well, MASH was furious. Yeah, I know, their banter sounds ridiculous, but it's honestly adorable. To anyone who doesn't know their backstory, they might look like a pair of squabbling siblings. But for those who do, it's actually a sign of how much they've grown, emotionally and mentally. Now, after dad number 1, Dr. Roman, we also have dad number 2, Lancelot. And this one's hilarious because MASH wasn't literally raised by Lancelot. Instead, she was fused with a heroic spirit who happens to be Lancelot's child, so she shares that emotional connection. This duo's relationship is just as entertaining, but in a completely different way. If Roman and MASH are chill and goofy, then Lancelot and MASH are like the ultimate doting dad and embarrassed daughter combo. Even though their first little conflict involved MASH punching him in the face, Lancelot spent every moment afterward trying to spoil her. There are tons of funny examples in various events showing how overly supportive Lancelot is toward MASH, while MASH is either annoyed, embarrassed, or just doesn't care. Yeah, I mean, we've all been there. One of my favorites is from the Summer Fest event, where Lancelot shows up tanned in a Hawaiian shirt and shades, buying a lot of MASH's books to impress her. Everyone's shocked, except MASH. She doesn't even realize it's him. It's like Clark Kent with glasses. The guy's right there, and she's just like, oh, some weird old dude bought my book. It's hilarious because everyone else recognizes Lancelot, except the one person who should know instantly. His own daughter, the one literally connected to him mentally. That's just one example. There are plenty more if you look for them. Now that was dad number 1 and number 2. But if we count Da Vinci, wouldn't that make it dad number 3? I mean, sure, she's in a woman's form and acts more like a big sister, but she's been there since Mash was a kid, teaching her alongside Roman. But then again, remembering who she originally was, an old man, kinda makes it even funnier. So you see that, right? One dad's a former magical king turned idle simp who's technically younger than his own kid, another's a doting knight with women problems, and the last one's a pervy scientist artist who can literally change her body. And even then, through all her adventures, Mash just keeps getting doted on. I mean, you guys remember Boudica, right? That's the only one that comes to mind right now, but seriously, I swear a lot of them wanted to adopt her. You can feel it. Speaking of Roman earlier, I gotta stop and talk about this one. It's spoiler-heavy territory, but screw it, just watch the video. So, Dr. Roman actually has a parent, a dad. Just one. But of course, since this is fate, the situation is weird. See, Dr. Roman's real identity is King Solomon, which means his father is none other than King David, and we've seen David several times in the story and events. I don't really know how they were before, but in Chaldea, David and Roman actually talk pretty normally. David's got this bold, confident way of speaking, and Roman always throws in some snark whenever it's about him. Are they on bad terms? Not really. Good terms? Also not really. Well, the way I see it, it's that classic awkward dad and son phase. Your dad wants to hang out but doesn't know how, and you want to talk, but you're also kinda annoyed and don't know where to start. When they were still alive, the story hints that David didn't do much for Solomon back then, and he kind of regrets it. Back then, David only talked about what needed to be talked about. Temples and duty and that sort of thing, but the story implies he didn't do enough for Solomon as a father, especially given everything we know about Solomon's era. Now, here's where it gets weird. We've seen Solomon, tall, brown skin with striking white hair. Pretty accurate, since some versions describe him that way, though others say he was actually a redhead. So interestingly, fate went with white for Solomon, red for Roman, and then his dad, David, shows up with green. I'm pretty sure that's not accurate. From what I've read, David's supposed to be red-haired too. So why did fate design him like that? Honestly, I feel like it's deliberate. Maybe a trick to throw people off before Solomon's true identity as Roman was revealed. Think about it. They gave David the opposite color of red, green. You can literally Google the opposite of red, and that's what you get. So maybe the devs wanted to keep players from guessing that Roman was Solomon by making David look completely unrelated. Because if you look back at the Okeanos chapter, where Roman and David interact a lot, Roman's behavior gets kinda weird. He shows an obsession with Solomon, refuses to believe Solomon could be evil, and even talks back to David like there's some unresolved grudge. So yeah, maybe that's why they did it. I'm not sure, but either way, that design choice and the way they communicate as a family are some of the most fascinating things about them. Alright, sorry guys, but I gotta call it here for today's video. Life's been a bit busy lately, so I don't have as much time as I'd like. There's still so much more I want to dive into, but I guess that'll have to wait for another day. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.